Get free gift cards, PayPal, and much more with feature points.
What's up guys, Commander Alex here, and today we're going to be looking at the new update 1.23 coming to Vainglory. These are the patch notes for the new update. Obviously the update is not out yet, but it is kind of available for us to look at, and then we're going to be able to get it hopefully very soon. So I would guess definitely this week, possibly, you know, maybe Wednesday. That's kind of a common day for them, but no promises. Anyway, here is the patch notes. Update 1.23, Gwen blasts her way into autumn. Alright, so new sniper hero Gwen rolls into town, bringing blah 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 blah. We don't actually need to read that because like it doesn't have anything to do with the gameplay. New map looks very spooky. It's all spooky and stuff. New hero Gwen, I already made a couple videos about all of her abilities, and we are going to get a video out to you guys as soon as possible once we can actually make gameplay footage on her. I'm going to be doing her in lane, jungle support, weapon power, CP, everywhere you could possibly think, and every way you could possibly think to play her, I'll be doing for you guys so that you can see if she's secretly OP as support weapon power Gwen. Probably not, but maybe. Anyway, early access period for Gwen is 7 days. With ice, and then after that you can purchase her with glory. That's pretty standard, every hero has that. We'll just go over her abilities really quickly here. Boomstick. After not attacking for 1.6 seconds, Gwen's next basic attack deals 3 to 115 scaling with level, I'm assuming, plus 50% bonus weapon power, additional damage. Attack speed reduces the time before the empowered attack becomes available. So basically she gets empowered auto attack, she doesn't do anything, which is cool. Scales with weapon power. Buckshot Bonanza. Gwen blasts enemies in the target direction, damaging all targets in a cone. Enemies hit by this ability are slowed and revealed for 2 seconds. Really good against Taka. Just overall, any invis hero gets screwed over by that. Skedaddle. When activated, Gwen instantly removes negative effects from herself and blocks further effects for a short time. Additionally, she gains a temporary burst of movement speed. Passive Gwen gains, Gwen gains bonus move speed. This effect is disabled for a few seconds upon her taking damage from an enemy hero, but it is otherwise permanent. So she gets a lot of move speed unless she's attacked, and she can kind of go invulnerable for a little bit as far as disabling abilities go. So again, really good at the Taka, and just honestly her kit seems to just fuck over Taka. That's kind of what I've gotten out of it. And then finally we have Ace's High, which is her ultimate. Gwen pulls an ace from up her sleeve and flings it in the target direction. The card deals damage to everything it passes through. The ace impacts and stuns the first enemy hero on its path. So yeah, it's just kind of like a ranged skill shot. Probably does a good bit of damage, but we don't know for sure. Maybe it's a short cooldown. As far as skins, Apprentice Samuel Tier 1. It's going to be available for the first 10 days on sale for 675 ice, which seems like just a steal, to be honest. And then the regular price will be 900. Seraphim Adagio Tier 3, first 10 days on sale for 1,125 ice, then regular price will be just under 1,500. Love Bites Blackfeather, which is the special edition skin for this patch, first 10 days on sale for 1,948 ice, regular price will be just under 2,600, and opals available on update 1.24. So on update 1.24 you'll be able to purchase the Love Bites Blackfeather skin with ice, with opals, so you won't actually have to like purchase him. You can get him with a non-purchase currency, which is cool, but we all know opals are like a crazy hard grind, so don't expect to be getting every single limited edition skin with those. New skins, opals only, so these are the recolored skins. There's been a lot of controversy over this. If you want to watch the videos on this, I've done like at least 3 different videos on it, so just watch some of those and you'll kind of get caught up. But basically they're going back and bringing out old skins from the vault, and to make them different they're making them recolored so that the people who got them originally don't get screwed over. Pumpkin Spice Petal Special Edition kind of got this white purplish look going, pretty cool. Bewitched Celeste Special Edition, honestly I think looks better than the first, but because the people who got her first get both of them, I don't think it's that big of a deal. And yeah, it's just a really sweet skin, to be honest. I really like the Bewitched Celeste Special Edition. Original skin identifiers. It's a little glowy McGee over here. Nothing too crazy, but it glows, so that's cool. New in-game social section. Alright, what do we got? We have overview, members, reward. Oh, I see what they did. Okay, so instead of having a friends list, you now have everything social, including in this one tab. So you have a friends list on your left, a guild list in the middle, and a team list on the right. And then as far as your actual guild goes, it looks like everything is pretty much the same. Overview, members, rewards, trophies, nothing really changed there. But they did change the UI a little bit, which I'm sure that'll eventually kind of move into something. Detailed party invites. You can now have actually say what type of match you're going to be wanting to play and stuff like that, which is cool. Again, doesn't really have anything to do with the gameplay, which is why I'm skipping over it so quickly, but you know, these are little UI changes that are very nice quality of life things. All right, moving on here, we have persistent chat fully integrated. You guys have probably already noticed it. Basically, your messages don't go away even when you go on and off in the game, so that's kind of cool. Skill tier decay. Oh yes, they put it into the game finally. So skill tier decay is basically this thing that says that if you don't play for quite a long time, then you are going to have your skill tier slowly deteriorate. You're going to lose skill tier points from just not playing. Now, keep in mind, this isn't like, oh, you haven't played for the last 12 hours, you lose skill tier. No, this is like, you haven't played for the last 3 months, yeah, you're gonna lose some skill tier, right? Like, this is only for people who really don't play for long periods of time, which I think makes sense, because in reality, if you don't play for like 3 months, you will not be as good as when you played 3 months before, right? So it makes sense that you're losing skill over time. Just not doing something for a long time does lose that skill. So if we read through here, skill tier decay over time based on ranked match and activity. So this, if you only play casual, it won't reset your skill tier decay, so you have to play ranked if you don't want to have ranked match decay, which is kind of important. The higher your skill tier, the more frequently you must play ranked to avoid decay. So if you're Vainglorious, you might have to play quite often. If you're, you know, just getting there silver, not so much, right? So they kind of assume the higher your skill tier you are, the more you play, which makes sense. If you are within 4 days of experience decay, the skill tier progress bar in your profile will be turned red and a special reminder notification will appear. So it's longer than 4 days. We don't know exactly how long it is, but it's longer than 4 days. And if you come within 4 days of having your skill tier starting to decay, then you're going to have like a real indicator like, hey, get the hell on, play, you know, that sort of thing. All right, so zoom default. Players who prefer to play on their mobile phones may have noticed a small magnifying glass under the mini map that was introduced in update 1.22. By tapping the icon, you can zoom in and out. Some players have been frustrated that they have to reset their preferred zoom level every time they open a game. Now in update 1.23, Vainglory will remember your preferred zoom so that when you open the game and start a match, you'll experience the same level of zoom that you had when you last played. So completely non-gameplay related. I guess it's cool for you guys that play on phones, but I don't, and it's not about gameplay, so we don't really care. Local notifications. Now you can receive local notifications, so you never miss out on a daily chest. That's cool. Probably won't turn them on because I'm guessing that it'll be pretty spammy if it's like every single quest and all that shit, but it's cool that they're giving the option. Turrets now with a laser sight. This is actually really important in my opinion for turret diving, because having clear indication of who the turret is focusing makes turret diving just so much cleaner and easier, and I'm guessing that is going to make it a lot more common, so I would definitely look out for that. Quests and chests improvements. Seasonal chests, more loot, more cards. Now your seasonal chest drops a minimum of 3 cards. Previously you could get a drop with 2 cards and they would both be opals. Now the 3rd card is unpredictable, so there's always a nice surprise. That's nice. We get more stuff. That's always fun. And then quests. Bot quests, we're not going over quests. Nobody actually cares about quests. Here are balance changes. This is what I wanted to get to. This is the stuff that I actually care about, right? So Samuel, his malice and verdict. Damage crystal ratio down from 70 scaling to 220 plus 200, let me try that again. Damage crystal ratio down from 70 scaling to 220 plus 110 crystal ratio to 60 scaling to 210 plus 100% crystal ratio. So nice hard nerf there on both the ratio and the base damage. And empowered damage crystal ratio down from 80 scaling to 255 plus 130% crystal ratio to 75 scaling to 225 plus 150% crystal ratio. So Mouse and Verdict definitely had some pretty heavy nerfs there. As far as the empowered goes, it got nerfed by 15% on the ratio and a little bit on the base damage, and the regular one got nerfed 20% on the ratio and a little bit on the base damage as well. So Malice and Verdict isn't going to be hitting as hard, kind of bottom line there. Taka, his Kaiten, fixed a bug where Taka's Kaiten immunity would last less than his full airtime of 0.6 seconds. Yeah, that was really annoying. I've had that happen. Kaku, healing down from 40 scaling to 100 to 25 scaling to 100, so a little bit worse in the early game, perfectly the same in the late game. Yeah, even if you don't max it, once you get to level 4, they're completely equal. Energy cost up from 45 scaling to 85 to 50 scaling to 110, so definitely costs a little bit more energy here at all levels and even more in the late game. So yeah, it's about equal as far as what it does in the late game. It's a little bit worse in the early game for the healing, but it costs more at all levels. So that's kind of overall a nerf to him. And then duration down from 4 to 3 scaling to 4. So again, in the late game, it's equal. In the early game, you actually have a little bit of a nerf there. And because the energy cost is up at all levels, it's overall a nerf for Taka. So we'll see if the Kaku nerfs balance out the Kaiten buffs. But my guess is that this is going to be mostly just a wash for Taka. I don't think it's really going to affect him that much in either direction. All right, so Fortress here, Truth of the Tooth, now additionally deals basic attack damage, applies on-hit effects. It's cool, I guess. So that means Aftershock will be applied and stuff like that. Damage down from 60 scaling to 300 to 0 scaling to 180. So early game got kind of really nerfed there, to be honest. Like, you don't have any damage, base damage, at level 1, which is pretty rough, to be honest. But it does, actually no, honestly, it just kind of sucks now. So yeah, it got a massive nerf, but it got the buff of being able to apply on-hit effects. We'll see if that's worth it, but something tells me that's going to be a pretty hard nerf to Fortress. Adagio, Gift of Fire, heal health ratio up from 8 to 10. It's a buff, definitely for tank Adagio, but no one really plays him tank, so we'll see if that kind of comes back in the meta. Saw no longer does execute damage to the Vein Crystal. Cool. Does it really matter? Probably not. I mean, if you're hitting the Vein Crystal with Saw, you're probably going to get the Vein Crystal, but we'll just leave that at that. Lock-on bonus crystal ratio down from 15 to 10. That's actually pretty freaking massive. So basically with CP Sky, you do 5% less damage, which is a pretty massive nerf there. So yeah, Sky CP definitely had a pretty hard nerf. Kestrel Glimmer Shot, splash damage changed from 50 scaling to 190 to 40 scaling to 200. A little bit better in the late game, a little bit worse in the early game. Minion splash damage changed from 50 scaling to 150 to 40 scaling to 160 again. A little bit worse or a little bit better in the early game and a little bit worse in the late game. So overall, these two changes make farming a little bit easier in the early game and a little bit harder in the late game, and make like trading with enemy heroes a little bit harder or easier in the early game and a little bit harder in the late game. So overall, kind of just improves your early game, nerfs your late game, but it's not going to be that massive of a change. Active camo, basic attacks no longer reduce the cooldown of this ability. Instead, landing the primary impact Glimmer Shot reduces the cooldown by 2 seconds. This is a, I don't know, I guess you could count this as a buff for CP if you're playing close enough that you're actually landing those, or you could count this as a buff for weapon power, because weapon power uses the actual impact damage to deal a lot of damage. So I would count this as just a buff, but probably mostly a buff for CP, because CP focuses on arrows and not the auto attacks. It might be kind of a nerf for weapon power, because weapon power builds use a lot of the auto attacks to reset that cooldown quickly. It'll be interesting to see, you know, you can maybe even see like some hybrid builds come out because of that. That'll be kind of interesting. Anyway, Finn, his Quibble damage changed from 230 scaling to 590 to 160 scaling to 600. So actually a pretty big nerf in the early game and a little buff in the late game. Overall, probably a wash, but I think it's slightly a nerf to his early game, and then a tiny buff to his late game. Mid game probably didn't really even get touched. Lance Impale, damage changed from 160 scaling to 480 plus 160 weapon ratio to 120 to 480 plus 140% weapon ratio. That weapon ratio buff, or nerf, excuse me, is going to be pretty massive because Lance was just literally starting Sour Blade so that he could destroy people with his Impale. So that's going to be a pretty large nerf to Lance, especially his early game, because he was just building Weapon Blade to support Lance because he was doing so much damage. Rhyme Frost Guard, maximum fortified health up from 15% to 20%. He's going to be tankier. Fixed bug where Rhyme could not generate additional fortified health if you hit 15% fortified health from another source. I didn't know that was even a bug, but yeah, that's a buff for Rhyme. Overall, that's a buff for Rhyme. He'll be tankier. I don't know if it's going to be massive because there's still some very hard counters to him, but he'll be better, I guess. Alpha, Prime Directive, base damage up from 60 scaling to 140 plus 60% weapon ratio to 80 scaling to 160 plus 80% weapon ratio. That is a buff for her just overall. Also, she had base armor changed from 20 scaling to 86 to 30 scaling to 86, and shielding the same, so that's an early game buff for her as well. Overall, Alpha got buffed. Okay. A little bit more in the early game, but overall she got buffed just in general. And Blackfeather. Alright, so his Heartthrob focuses recharge up from 75 to 10 per second. That's going to mean he can use his abilities a little more often, which is nice. On point, weapon ratio up from 80 to 100. That's going to make weapon power builds more potent as far as poking. You might even see people maxing on point with weapon power so that they can get that poke, because 100% weapon ratio is not too shabby. And then Rose Offensive, focus cost down from 50 to 40. So overall, Blackfeather just got buffed. He's probably going to come back to the meta, I would bet. Alright, here we go. Item changes. Breaking Point. Change item functionality to gain 10 weapon power for every 125 weapon damage done to enemy heroes. Plus 5/10, it depends on if you're melee or range. Melee only get 5, range get 10, or I believe that's the other way around. Anyway, damage needed for each stack there now. Oh, okay, I see. So melee heroes only need 5 extra damage to get the next stack, whereas the ranged heroes need 10 extra damage. So like the first stack for both of them is 125, but then for melee heroes, they would then need 130 damage to the next stack, and for ranged heroes, they would then need 135, and that's just kind of how that goes. 25 stacks max, decays 2 seconds per stack after you've stopped attacking for 2.5 seconds. So the decay on this is fairly short, or rather long, I would say. 2 seconds per stack. If you get up to 25 stacks, you're looking at 50 seconds if you having breaking point stacks, which means that like if you win a fight, you have 50 seconds of improved damage. You could like literally push down a turret because you got into a fight. That's going to be really interesting. Also, it takes 2.5 seconds just for that to even kick in. So if you're having intermittent fighting as you're like being chased or chasing, it'll kind of slowly build up. Also, this is going to mean that for melee heroes, they're going to build this up crazy quickly because you're only improving by multiples of 5, right? So for a melee hero, I'm sure someone can do the math on this, but basically you're going 125 plus 130 plus 135 plus 140, so on and so forth, and that goes all the way up to whatever, what is it, 5 times 25 is 125 to 250 down. So that's what melee heroes have to do, but ranged heroes now have to do it with 10 every level. So basically ranged heroes are now doing something in the range of like 375 scaling downwards minus 10 each time, which means that it's going to be much harder for ranged heroes to build stacks. Honestly, I would expect a lot of breaking point glaive. That's kind of what I'm getting out of this. Glaive is very tanky, he lasts long in fights. Glaive can put out a lot of damage, so he's going to get these stacks going quickly, and the fact that he holds onto those stacks so long leads me to believe this is going to be very dangerous for Glaive. I think this is an indirect buff to tanky junglers, maybe even alpha as well. You could see some really nasty stuff come out of this. I would be very interested to see if this kind of becomes OP. Scout traps no longer grant vision until armed. Okay. and a bunch of bugs were fixed. Nothing too crazy. You guys can read through those if you really care. That is the 1.23 update. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed. I have to go eat dinner, so I'm gonna go do that. But tell me in the comments down below, what do you guys think of this new update? You know, what do you think is gonna be the most massive change? Do you think Breaking Point's gonna be OP? Do you think that it's that they got a ton of new skins into the game? What do you like about this update? What do you hate about this update? Tell me in the comments down below, and I'll be out hopefully tomorrow with another video. I know I've been kind of inconsistent about my videos recently. Most of it's just because school's been hammering me really hard right now, but I am getting my editors to get you guys some content while I'm not able to get you guys content, and hopefully I'll be able to come back at you guys when the update comes out with a bunch of Gwen videos and, you know, new Breaking Point videos and all that stuff, so that I can show you guys a new update and continue on with the channel. So that is literally not just my editors uploading, because, you know, even though I have editors, I do want to do a lot of the videos myself. So hopefully you guys understand, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. See ya.